Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adnan from Learn More Technologies, and today I'm really excited to explain and talk about AWS. So, coming to the introduction to AWS, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Just think of AWS as collection of online tools and services that we can access through the internet. So instead of buying your own computers, servers, or storage device, AWS lets you rent these resources whenever you need them. For example, let's imagine you want to open an online store. Normally, you would need to buy a server, set it up, and maintain it. So with the help of AWS, you don't need to buy anything. You just simply click a button and AWS gives you a server instantly. This makes it easier, much cheaper for business to get started. So AWS provides you different services. These are IaaS, nothing but infrastructure as services. This is like, renting a virtual computers and storage. PaaS, platform as services. This gives you tools to build application without worrying about backend setup. And finally, this SaaS, software as services. These are ready-to-use application provided through the internet. And the simple example I can say is the Google Drive or Microsoft 365. These are software as services. So AWS provides similar things, but at bigger and larger level for companies. So coming to this diagram, you can understand that AWS will provide as an infrastructure services. AWS provides you visualization, servers, storage, networking, and data center. But as a consumer or someone who's using AWS, you have to handle the application, security, databases, and operation system. Whereas the platform as services, you just only have to handle the application, and rest of them AWS take care of it. And whereas the software as services, so AWS handles everything, including the application. You just have to use the application. It's like it is ready to use. And coming to uses of AWS. So AWS is used in many different areas because it provides you many types of services. You can think of AWS as drop toolbox that companies use to run their websites, apps, and data without buying expensive hardware. Here are the main issue. So here are the main uses. One one of the use is hosting websites and apps. So AWS is commonly used to host websites and mobile applications instead of buying a server. Companies can just simply run their websites on AWS. So one of the real life example I can talk about is you can just consider a small online clothing store that can upload its website to AWS. Even if 500 customers visit, the site will still work smoothly because AWS adjusts automatically. And coming to storage and managing data, AWS provide cloud storage safe, secure, and accessible from anywhere. So think of it like think of your phone photos stored in Google Drive. Similarly, companies can store document, customers, data, and photos in the AWS storage. And you can also one more example of AWS is that streaming videos and music. So many streaming platforms uses AWS to deliver videos and audio fast without buffering. So you can just consider Netflix, Disney Plus, Spotify. All of these applications use AWS to stream movies, shows, and music globally. So every time you watch a movie on Netflix, AWS is working in the background, and you can also run high performance computing tasks. For example, architectures can use AWS to create 3D building models because their own computer aren't powerful enough. So, so it is used in 3D rendering. And you can use one more example, like scientists use AWS to process weather data, and predict storms. So also we can use it as backup recovery, disaster recovery. So AWS is used to back up some of the important data so the companies don't lose information in emergency. So for example, if like the hospital local server fails, their patients records are stored in AWS remain safe and can be restored instantly. You can say so these are the many examples that you can use. So you can also use to run an e-commerce and online stores, and you can also use it for machine learning and AI. So AWS provides tools for image recognition, voice assistant, and chatbot, and more. So many apps use AWS AI tools to recognize faces in images, detect spam messages, or to translate languages. So in simple words, I'm just going to summarize the uses of AWS. So AWS is used to hold websites, store data, stream videos, process every task, back up the files, run online stores, train employees, and even support AI. That's why companies of all sizes, from the small business to giant to bigger companies like Netflix, Amazon, NASA, uses AWS to power their operation. Coming to pay as you go model. So one of the most amazing thing about AWS is that it follows pay as you go model. Simply, it means like you only pay for what you're using it. So, for example, if you run a server for like 2 hours, AWS simply charges you for those 2 hours. It's like you're paying an electricity bill. You just pay based on the usage, not the fixed amount. So coming to the advantages of AWS. So let's talk about flexibility. So AWS is very flexible. You can choose any operating system like Windows, Linux, and any programming languages or any databases. Companies can simply take their existing application and that runs in the office and move it to directly to AWS without any major changes. For instance, if you call, for instance, let me give you one more example. Like if for example, if a college has student portal running on Windows servers. They can easily move it to AWS and continue using in the same way, but with more speed and more reliability. And coming to cost effectiveness, AWS helps companies to save a lot of money, and there's no need to buy expensive hardware, pay for electricity, hire a big IT team, or worry about maintenance. So, for example, let me give you one real life example. So, a restaurant owner wants to launch a website that may not get many visitors at first. So, instead of spending like 1 to 2 lakh rupees on servers, they can spend maybe only a few hundred rupees per month on AWS depending on users. This reduces cost and risk. And coming to scalability and electricity, so AWS is great at handling ups and down in traffic. Suppose a website suddenly gets a lot of visitors, maybe during a sale or festival. So normally that website would crash because the servers can't handle too many users. But with AWS, resources can increase automatically. When the traffic goes back to normal, AWS reduces those resources so the company doesn't waste money. And so you can consider as Amazon Great Indian Festival of Flipkart Big Billion Days. During sales, traffic explodes. AWS helps to manage that without crashing. So coming to security, AWS takes security very seriously. Its data centers are heavily protected, guarded 24/7, monitored with cameras, and access is extremely restricted. Digitally, AWS provides encryption, firewall, identity management, and many security tools. For example, bank like SBI and HDFC uses AWS for some of their application because AWS provides high-level security that meets the industrial standard. So coming to the history of AWS. So AWS started as a concept in 2003. By the time of 2004, Amazon launched its first public service. And by the time of 2006, AWS officially went public. And by 2010, even Amazon own online store moved completely to AWS. And by 2013, AWS introduced certification. And by 2018, AWS became a leader in machine learning and AI services. From a small internet idea, AWS has now become the world's largest cloud provider. And the key features of AWS is that AWS is popular because it offers flexibility, scalability, security, and global coverage. It has data centers all around the world. This means, for example, a user in India gets content from a nearby AWS server. So basically, edge computing, making making everything load faster. For example, when you upload photos to Instagram, they are stored in the cloud. Similar to AWS-like system, you can access them anytime. So let me give you the conclusion. To wrap this up, AWS is very powerful and reliable cloud platform, helps the company to reduce costs, work faster, and stay secure, and handle millions of users easily, from a small business to bigger companies like Netflix, NASA, and Amazon itself. Everyone relies on AWS. So this is why AWS is considered the backbone of modern cloud computing. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching my lecture. See you next time.